What would you say from your experience are the three best ways for us to train our conscious mind and tap into the power of our subconscious?
Well, I mean, one of the best ways, of course, is the meditation, and because meditation, it's a cleansing practice, first of all, for your brain, so to calm down your frontal cortex, and then to be able to have the conversation with the subconscious. So just okay, you establish the channel of communication, and then most meditations, if not all of them, are suggesting helpful things, just like hypnosis would, and then putting the right messages into your subconscious. So first you need to have the road cleared, so to speak, to the castle, and then you have things that travel through that road into the castle.
Mm.
If I use that analogy, so meditation is certainly one. Routines and habits is another one. So the healthy ways of interacting with your body, with people around you, with the business. So you know when it's empowering, when it's healthy, and it's it's not when it's not. So you know all those things, right? So like how do you treat yourself? Like how do you relate to food? How do you relate to others? Things that you say, things that you think. All of these things, become your second nature. Like if you pause it, like if your first line of response is that, but you see an opportunity everywhere as opposed to see a problem. It's trainable, right? So the positive response, and not blaming and not blaming
Yeah.
others, but taking responsibility for things. All of these things are trainable, so that becomes part of your habitual self. To drop from the head into the heart,
Mm. Mhm.
because the head is largely is the mind, right? It's the thinking, and the mind being the conscious mind, the chatter, the kind of the analytical mind, and then the emotional and the logical brain, kind of like having the dialogue, versus the heart is really what your soul wants to express. And then there's a bigger meaning, like saying that the soul already knows, and we just have to remember what it already knows, and there's nothing to discover. There's only things to remember. So, and the martial arts practices allow us to,
Yuri, it's
especially
such a
when we're stressed.
pleasure to have you on Masterpiece Cafe today. And you know from my book that I postulate that we are the architects of our experience. And your story is so fascinating what you're creating. With Masterpiece, we're going to tap into your unspoken desires. So tell me about a time that you actually had this unspoken desire and what that was. How did you recognize that?
Oh, thank you, Cheri. Well, first of all, I'm delighted to be on the show with you and your listeners. My unspoken desire. Wow. So I think it goes back to my teenage years when I first came across the Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich book, and that kind of blew my mind at that time. And like, wow, there's so much more to life than I thought it would be. And of course, in that age, you're trying to figure out, what life is all about, what's the purpose, like why you here. So that put a lot of desires into my tool chest that I began to sort of unravel as the time went on. But I think that's probably where my journey began, and then my life has just kind of
My
unfolded
mind.
from there.
How did you know this was going to be your path? What was it that shifted
I didn't, I,
inside?
I didn't, I didn't think I knew at that age, and then I think the word "knew" came way, way, way after.
Mm,
What I sensed and what I felt was that there's a bigger dream that you want to pursue, and then you want to get to good things, and then you want to impact the world. Although I did not operate with those words, back then.
yeah.
Um, it just, I think it probably I was thinking, like I want to drive a bigger car, and or live somewhere in Bali or something like that,
What
but
was the moment in which that past of reading that book and your future where you were like, wow, this is actually the direction I want to go? Could you
yeah.
describe that moment when you did know?
Um, the I think the moment was that I wanted to explore the world, and then not to commit to something that was laid out before me. So, and I went on to the discovery phase for the next 10 years. Like if you kind of fast forward from the age of 16 or 17 to the age of 27. I did 10 different jobs, in 3 or 4 different countries, and I worked for I don't know how many people. Like I counted like 20, 25 bosses. So, and I went on to this exploration mode just to see, who am I? What am I made of? What do I like? And then that was the first chapter of my exploration mode.
Oh my gosh, that sounds beautiful. What kind of magic unfolded as you started to explore yourself that you weren't expecting?
You know what? I think I will disappoint you. Now, the magic didn't unfold. What unfolded is that I needed to commit to a certain path because I was, it felt to me that okay, I'm enjoying all this and opportunities and explorations and meeting new people, but deep down, like I felt like I'm not making progress on any one of them. And then it was not so much the magic, it was just kind of realization, okay, stop for now. Like you gotta commit to something, you gotta make it, make one thing work, or at least, to commit to one path as opposed to all this exploration. So I don't know if it was, it was not really magic. It was just kind of like, again, like I needed to put more constraints as opposed, like, and not being scattered all over the place. Now I have to do this. And I start the career and the family and, commit to one country, where I'm going to live and like what I'm going to do. And so that was at the age about 27, 28. And when I did that.
I love that because what I hear about what shifted inside you was this commitment to one thing. And, I talk about also in my book that it's about like we only have 4,000 weeks in our life and we act like we have infinite time because that makes us feel better. But in reality, we don't have infinite time. We actually have finite time. And so you committing to that one thing sounds like it made a lot of impact.
I saw a poster from Peter Attia. He's got like probably equivalent of this 4,000 weeks, and then you check off at the end of the week. How did you live this week, and
right.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good reflection of, where was my energy spent and, where is that energy going? Tell us a little bit about maybe some things that you didn't expect that came out of as you committed to one thing, the impact or the influence, or maybe even the meaning it brought to your life.
Well, the one thing that I didn't expect that the opportunity cost, like when you're committing one thing, you're thinking, okay, you're missing out on all these other things, and then it becomes hard to continue to be committed to that thing. So to your job, to your family, to your pursuit, to kind of to build a life that you've committed to. So then you're thinking, okay, what if I did this? What if I did that? Like, and you're still trying to keep yourself restrained from going, in different directions. I think that's one thing that kept me sort of, the healthy tension between, being committed and then being wondering, is there another way to express yourself. But I did know that deep down inside of me that there's other versions of me that will manifest and will materialize, but just not now. Like, for example, when I committed to to a career path that I'm working for, big corporations and to a certain industry, and like I did marketing for big Fortune 500 companies, and but I did down knew that I also wanted to pursue my own thing. I wanted to build my own kind of impactful, empire, if you will, and but I also knew that it was not the time to do it, because now I'm committed to this path, and okay, let's put this other thing, in a different bucket, and then not to worry. But the bucket, kept reminding me, okay, so what about me? What about me? And I had to kind of shut it down. Okay, so not I don't have time for you now. Let me focus on this thing.
Ah, that's beautiful. And I know you have a number of certifications, and you went from the corporate world and working in business field, and you have this wealth of experience, and you went into coaching. Tell me a little bit about why you do it and what you love about it.
Yeah, that transition was made rather recent. It was about less than 5 years, where I hang up the corporate gloves, so to speak, and then went into a different field. And then the coaching was not. It was not. It was almost like I became a coach by accident. It was but it didn't start 5 years ago. Like I was into martial arts for all my life, and then I became a martial arts instructor in different disciplines. So, and I was coaching sort of different teams and different individuals. So that part was not new to me. But what was new was to do it in a very structured and framework kind of way. But the coaching fell into my lap after I made a very important decision about myself, that whatever the transition is going to be from my corporate marketing life to the new life, it's got to be a humanity plus. Like it definitely cannot be humanity minus, and it better be better than humanity neutral. So, and then I went into this mindset that whatever I do with my time and then with my next chapter of my life, it has to advance humanity to, to a new level. So, and then coaching, it kind of ticked a lot of the, that definitely that box, but also ticked off a lot of other boxes for me. So, and then it just became a thing that I really love, and I still do it today.
Oh, that's beautiful. Tell me about this vision you have of 3 years from now. What would you like to do that will send ripples out in the world? What do you envision unfolding?
Oh, that's really easy. I mean, I want to make more coaches successful,
Nice.
plain and simple, because I know when the coaches are successful, they make their clients successful, and I will live in a better world. Coaches are very hard people, heart, not hard, heart people. They
Very heart-centered. Yeah.
heart centered, and then
Yeah.
they're driven by making impact in other people's lives, and that's what they do for a living. That's what they love doing. They love to see transformations, and I'm as a coach, I know it full well. I also do that, as part of my as part of my work week, but I once we make, but a lot of coaches do struggle with the business side of it. They do coaching well.
Yeah.
And many coaches don't do marketing well. They don't like doing it. They don't know how to do it properly. The selling is another kind of challenge for many coaches as well. And then running a business is another challenge. So, and a lot of that has been outsourced to, like, if I never have to do this ever in my life, you just can focus on coaching. That would be
Yeah.
wonderful, right? So that's a lot of mindset that coaches would have. And then while we're trying to help coaches to focus on just what they do coaching, but they also we shifting the mindset that they do become a brand, that they become a magnet for people, and then that comes with a lot of business skills and then showing up skills into the world, and then and telling the world what problem they're solving, and then what their unique
Right.
methodology for solving that problem is. And so just to package that into what they do is, and to multiply that by many coaches, that's hopefully that will be what my legacy is.
That sounds beautiful. I talk about in my book transforming uncertainty into a legacy of impact. And within that are ripples. So if we were to look at the vision beyond the vision, if we were to look at you were immensely successful at doing that. You help coaches all over the world be more successful in what they were doing, be able to focus on their clients more. What would be the impact on the world? Can you expand on that a little bit so we can understand your why?
Look, I think the impact is going to be immense, because coaching it lands really well in the new era, new age that we're living in. And of course, we are firmly into digital age, and then we're now into AI age, and then that's the biggest transformation we probably is in our lives. So it's bigger than internet, bigger than anything we've seen. Like it's bigger, probably bigger than electricity even. So then we cannot imagine running our lives without electricity, for example. So AI is going to be that if it's not already. And how do we able to sort of navigate in this new world? So the few different professions, a few different things that have come to mind that will be obsolete, but a few other things will come that will rise with that. And I think coaching is actually going to be one of those things that will enable humans to get faster at their goals and to get better at their goals, and then have a very firm place in this new world where humans and machines are going to be intertwined, and the coaches will be able to take where we are now, imagine where we want to go together with the client and help them get there through the methodologies that we've adopted. So and then we will a part of that process will also be digitized and enhanced with kind of augmented digital version. So I fully see a vision where coaches will have a digital version of them, for some low level activities, let's say with
Right.
the client, that they will be able to kind of send their avatars to do that, and then the real human version of me will show up, and then kind of help you with the transformation. So that's the vision beyond vision.
That sounds beautiful. In fact, it's already happening. There's quite a few thought leaders in the industry that have their AI component that pulls on all of their content and is able to deliver really actually solid, advice based on all of their work. Um,
Absolutely.
what,
Absolutely. Yeah, people like Peter Diamandis, for example, they
yeah,
train their models of themselves, and then right now it costs them tens of, if not more than thousands of
yeah,
dollars.
yeah.
But very, very soon it will be available to anybody. And then so how do we capture this trend really, and then how do we enable the coaching community to make better transformations, and to make more people more accessible to more people.
In building your masterpiece, Yuri, there's always something we have to face, which is our fears. What
Mhm.
is your biggest fear?
Well, it's a constant work that I work on with fears. I mean, do I have what's my biggest fear? I don't even know. Like, like what? Like I just listened to a training by Russell Brunson, ClickFunnels founder, co-founder. He talked about the brain and conscious brain, unconscious brain, and the reptile brain. And then the
Yeah.
reptile brain is the one that has fears, and then the one that keeps us safe, right? So and job of conscious unconscious minds is a little bit different in that regard. So the fears is the one that speaks in absolute and creates those stories that you want to keep safe. So keep us safe. So I think my fear, the only fear I think we should have is the fear itself, So that's the state that I'm working really hard towards. So consciously, I don't think I have a lot of different fears. I'm probably even subconscious at some level. I don't think I have a lot of fears, like that I can speak about. Like I'm not terrified of anything, whether physical or metaphysical. But I root out um, sort of resistance points in me that prevent me from going, and then the resistance equals fear. So the less resistance I have, the less fears I have. So that's how I work with it.
What are the resistance points for you, and how are you conquering them?
That's which is the same as fear, right? So the resistance points are sometimes there's a mountain of stuff that you have to do, and then you just feel like the low motivation. It's like, oh my God, like, am I doing this alone? Like, and nobody's gonna help me. And then you kind of like you you lose motivation. So and then you just tell yourself, oh, you know what, it's gonna be hard, and you just you pull up the socks and then you do it. So that's kind of how you overcome resistance. It's the same thing, like you don't feel like going to the gym, and then you just know the winning the game is not in the gym, it's kind of getting to the gym, right? So like it's the same thing, like I show up in life, like, oh, I don't want to write this content now, a blog or whatever, like, or just, but yeah, I now committed to myself to do it, and then so there's no other choice, like you just sit down and do it. So
I believe that I have reframed that fear in my life. I've faced fear many, many times into something that's both exciting and a little bit scary. And when I'm walking the ridge line of something a little scary and a little exciting, I know that that's the compass for my life. Because if it's a little scary, then it means something to me.
Yeah, yeah, and totally. And scary and excited, I think they're two sides of the same coin. And then they produce the same even hormonal changes inside your body.
Right.
And then how do you flip and how do you look at it as excitement as opposed to something that stops you? So I think that's a great way to reframe that. Yeah.
Yeah, because if we start seeing fear actually as this compass for living a meaningful life and building a masterpiece, then we're able to make ripples in the world. And those ripples positively affect everyone on this planet. And I love that idea that after I'm gone, I can have ripples. My biggest fear is always that my life won't matter.
Mm,
Everyone has their own fear, and it ties into every motivation that you do. Whether you believe it or not, that fear is always present. And so it's almost like bringing it in, saying, like, okay, yeah, I accept the fear. It's part of me. But I
mm,
also acknowledge that it's a compass for my greatest
mm,
impact.
mm. Yeah. Now that we're actually talking about it, I think one of the fears I have is just that I will run out of time to do everything that I need to do. Because I know, like, I don't have fear that I'll make it and I'll, to whatever I need to make it and I'll make the impact and that we talked about. It's just how much is going to be accomplished in the time that I have. So then that also produces that a little bit of anxiety and a little, but also, but at the same time, it kind of gives you that sort of kick, to do things faster and like, okay, so you don't have a decade, you need to, accomplish it in like in a quarter,
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, running out of time is always, I mean, truly, we are finite humans. In
Yeah.
the most recent book by Oliver Berkman on meditation for mortals, he talks about
Mhm.
how, when we actually embrace the finitism of our lives, it actually gives us freedom because now we can focus on one thing, like you were talking about, and really focus
Mhm.
on the thing that matters to
Mhm.
us, that actually brings fulfillment and makes a positive change in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I'm also going to say, like, it will sound like I'll speak from both sides of my mouth because I also uh, practice and preach this idea that the bigger the ambition, the slower you need to go.
Wow.
So
Yes.
which is in contradiction to what we just talked about, seemingly, but it's not really. It's being able, like, it's moving fast, but moving with conviction, and that on the right path and not wandering, to the left and to the right. Yeah, just like I talked about when I committed to the thing when to my life, back in my 20s, just like I am committed to a different kind of a chapter in my life right now.
Yeah, moving fast, but moving with conviction.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a beautiful truth that sounds like it came from your own experiences in life.
Sounds like an Instagram post.
Yeah. Was there a time when you moved fast without conviction?
I think when I moved fast without a conviction, that was the scattered brain,
Mm,
and sort of like you move in two different directions and you don't know what exactly
yeah.
the destination, right? So that's I would say was not a great state to be in, and yeah, so like I think having the goal, just like a plane has a destination or a ship has a
Yeah.
like a harbor that it needs to go to, is really important. And then you have the confidence that you either done it before or other people have done it before, so therefore you'll end up in that destination.
Mm.
Um,
How do you
yeah.
know? How will people know that they're moving fast with conviction? It may sound really obvious, but how does someone know that they have a conviction for something?
Well, I think it starts with knowing where you're going,
Mm.
and have clarity of the vision and clarity of the goals, and not just at the superficial level, where like I want to lose 10 pounds or I want to make this much money, but it's really a description of your life or your business, 2, 3, 4 years out. So, and when you read that to yourself, or you listen to it yourself if you have it on audio, you will know if this is yours and you really believe in it. Like
Mm.
you have a desire to achieve it, but also do you believe in it? And that begins to train your subconscious mind, because if your subconscious mind believes it, that's where the conviction comes from. It doesn't come from the conscious mind. It comes from the big elephant that rules us. It's called the subconscious. And
Right.
then the subconscious talks in stories and talks in feelings. So when you look at your goal and it's like, yep, I know I'm going to get there. So that's where conviction comes from.
I love that you bring up the subconscious mind and the conscious mind. You know, all the information that we receive, something like 4 million bits of information per second, we only make about 10% of that conscious. which comes back to like expanding your vision and being intentional about what you're actually creating and what you're living in your life. Because what we make conscious actually can change our subconscious programming. And I love how you describe conviction as, hey, when it goes into the subconscious and the subconscious believes it, now we don't actually have to go through the effort of making that conscious. It's just running in the background like a program that is helping us live our best life.
Correct. Correct. And many would say that you are a job of the job of conscious mind is to train the unconscious mind. So it runs a helpful programming because subconscious is so much more powerful. And there have been studies done, and some say like it's 10 to 1, some say it's 100 to 1, some things it's like 1,000,000 to 1. Like there's all this different. Like we don't really know, but we just know that's really powerful. So how do we keep it as clean and as powerful and as empowering as possible? And I think that's the job of a conscious mind to safeguard subconscious from the garbage and unhelpful stories and then disempowering beliefs. That's one. And then two, how to install the really the helpful routines and habits that like when you were saying autopilot, when you're saying muscle memory, so it's nothing but subconscious programming. So
Yeah.
how do you do the helpful things that it becomes second nature? Like you don't think about those things because that's who you are. So that's your subconscious running this thing. So that's the job of our conscious self to train the subconscious so that it helps us
Yeah.
move
So
forward.
true. It's a lifelong journey with that. What would you say from your experience are the three best ways for us to train our conscious mind and tap into the power of our subconscious?
Well, I mean, one of the best ways, of course, is the meditation, and because meditation it's a cleansing practice first of all for your brain, so to calm down your frontal cortex and then to be able to have the conversation with the subconscious. So just okay, you establish the channel of communication, and then most meditations, if not all of them, are suggesting helpful things, just like hypnosis would and then putting the right messages into your subconscious. So first you need to have the road cleared, so to speak, to the castle, and then you have things that travel through that road into the castle.
Mm.
If I use that analogy, so meditation is certainly one. Routines and habits is another one. So the healthy ways of interacting with your body, with people around you, with the business. So you know when it's empowering, when it's healthy, and it's not when it's not. So you know all those things, right? So like how do you treat yourself? Like how do you relate to food? How do you relate to others? Things that you say, things that you think. All of these things, become your second nature. Like if you pause it, like if your first line of response is that, but you see an opportunity everywhere as opposed to see a problem. It's trainable, right? So the positive response and not blaming yourself and not blaming others, but taking responsibility for things. All of these things are trainable, so that becomes part of your habitual self, right? So that's the second way how to train subconscious. And the third way, I don't know what the third way is, it'll come to me. So I just kind of thought of those two, but I'm sure
Well, I
there's
know,
more.
I know that you've done a lot of martial arts, and I've studied the ancient practices of martial arts and feng shui and kung fu and qigong, all of
Mm.
those, and looked at how they all influence the ability to train the body. And love how you talked about the first two, in that it's in that moment in which we make a different choice that we're actually building the muscle for that. But
Mhm.
from all your experience with martial arts, do you feel that might be a third way that we can really tap into the power of our subconscious mind?
Yeah, actually helped me with that. So thank you. So I thought when I spoke about martial art, I thought of another way to train subconscious mind, which could very well be the third pillar we're missing,
Yes.
is to drop from the head into the heart.
Mm-hmm.
Because the head is largely is the mind, right? It's the thinking, and the mind being the conscious mind, the chatter, the kind of the analytical mind, and then the emotional and the logical brain, kind of like having the dialogue, versus the heart is really what your soul wants to express, and then there's a bigger meaning, like saying that the soul already knows, and we just have to remember what it already knows, and there's nothing to discover. There's only things to remember. So, and the martial arts practices allow us to, especially the ones that I practice, which is called Sistema, and it's based on the non-tension in the body that produces more result. So which is contrary to many other, not just martial arts but practices, because you see all this, at the peak of the tension, like ripped bodies, and you have this all athleticism is based on maximum output, produced typically through tension. And what this martial art does is completely the opposite. It goes into, like, when you release the unnecessary tension, your body becomes a lot more powerful. And then examples are so many. So and it allows also for you to drop from the head into the heart. And we even talk about things like punch with love. So like you punch not with tension, not with a desire to destroy, rather with a desire to heal, and so to destroy the negative things that are in your opponent, so that they want to come and hurt you. So that's a very different philosophy.
I love that. I love the 3 pillars that you shared with us from your experience. Yuri, this has been amazing to be on this conversation with you. Can you tell us about some of the things that you're creating that you want people to know about?
Well, the biggest thing I want people to know is about my recent obsession, I would say, is a platform for coaches and clients to connect. It's called DreamCoachMatch. You can find it at DreamCoachMatch.com. It's built as a place where clients can find any coach today that they can think of, whether it's a health coach, wellness, business, career, relationship, anything really. So we have all kinds of coaches on the platform. So come and check it out. But if you're a coach, and we have a variety of different suite tools to make you successful, like in business, and we help you with your offers, we help you with your niches, we help you with your funnels. We have the software around it, so there's a bunch of tools that you can find under inside the network, and also a big community of coaches which you can tap into as well. So if you are a coach, I would definitely encourage you to check it out, register it. It's free to register, and then you can leverage a lot of things that are free. But if you want to go deeper into the journey, there is all kinds of ways you can deepen that journey with it.
That sounds amazing, Yuri. And everyone, as you know, I work with humble visionaries who are just out there doing the work of making the world a better place. Yuri has created a platform that is really second to none. I know, because I run a multi-million-dollar design build business, and I run a business as a trusted advisor. He's got everything you need in there to really expand and accelerate your success. Check it out. And thank you, Yuri, so much for being a part of Masterpiece Cafe.
Thank you. My pleasure.